Hi y'all. Well, we're back as per usual. Kind of becomes a regular thing, but it's been a little bit since I've made a video. But good news is we got some more stuff in the mail. Yeah. So this, please ignore everything behind this. But this smaller stack here. This is I believe it's a snippet from the 1984 Ford car fact book. Something named along that line. So it's a binder kind of similar to this, and it's got a number of different tabs, each one on a different vehicle. Let me flop this open here, much like this. So all the way on the far right, there would be a tab for each of the cars in the Ford lineup. You know, this one's an 83, so there'd be like LTD towards the top, Thunderbird, Tempo, Taurus, one that finally came out. It being an 83, this would have the Futura, the Mustang, the Escort, the EXP, maybe one or two other cars. Only from the Ford lineup. If you wanted to see the murkier ones, they would be in a different binder. So the whole binder would kind of have these tabs, and then inside of each tab would be a group of pages, much like this. It would be anywhere from 1 to 3 dozen pages, front to back, mind you, with nothing but information on the car it was talking about. So this, I believe, is the complete snippet from the 84 Ford binder for the EXP section that I had got quite recently. I'm hoping to get an 82 and 83 for the Fords and Mercuries real soon, and then we'll be able to do a deep dive on the EXP and all and 7 stuff, because those older ones, they have visual comparisons of each of the interior types. That's something that my 84 copy here lacks, unless this is somehow from some sort of other piece of literature, but I believe it's from that 84 Cars Fact Book binder. It's got the full, or the 3-ring keyhole punches. And on every single page it says EXP, and towards the bottom it's got a 2-digit page number. So now, yeah, we'll start answering questions right away. I said 1984, but you can clearly see that all these cars are 82s or 83s. They actually are 83s. That's kind of what's peculiar. This first page here, I want to know if there were more pages to go with this one or not. But this page is from late 1983. It doesn't have a timestamp on it. But it shows the notchback cars from 83 in the 83 color schemes with an 84 dash and some 83 and 84 options here. So like the 1.6, that was only an 82 83 thing. 1.6 high output, that was only a late 82 to a 85 thing. The 1.6 EFI, that was only a 1983 thing. 1.6 EFI Turbo, that was only an 84-85 option. So this one page, it's very weird, and we do have a little bit of a glimpse into why, or a little bit of proof here. So it does say due to the advanced timing. So advanced timing of the material herein is highly confidential and subject to change prior to model introduction. So the public clearly wasn't meant to see this page. So I'm guessing it is from that Ford's Facts book, unless they had some sort of other binder thing for only EXPs and Escorts, or only EXPs alone. I don't really know. But it lists a lot of information here. It does show, it does clearly say 1984 right here. The problem was, I think they were trying to sell off, or maybe that's the wrong term. They were trying to advertise 83 cars as 84s. for reasons unsure. Maybe they hadn't decided on the bubble back thing, or that's kind of the main thing, the bubble back and the blacked out taillights. And then there was a number of mechanical changes, one of which on the outside you can see is they had moved the wiper squirters from the hood to the cowl. You can see that here in this photo. It is in the middle of the hood here. Take note of that, because for 84 and 85 they had moved it so that there's two on the cowl instead. It's kind of the biggest telltale, because the taillights and trunk, they're swappable across all EXPs and LN7s. But the wiper squirters on the cowl, that's not something anyone would realistically change. That's a lot of work. So they're showing 83 models, advertising them as 84s, and this first page must just be from late 83. I wish there was a date stamp on it, and it's clearly different than this, because suddenly we go from this font stays the same, but it doesn't say 1984 on the corner, and it's colored, and it goes straight to this where it's all just black monotone 1984 EXP. It specifies that, even though the font's the same, and that keeps continuing. So I think this was supposed to be the cover page, and there would be more information behind it, but I lack whatever pages supplemented this. But I do have the normal 84 pages, so these are the correct pages for 1984. Sadly, I only have this many of them. I don't know if there were supposed to be more or not, because one problem with these is when the 84 models came out, a lot of literature had disappeared completely on these. So if you wanted to see what kind of interior options there were, color options, yada yada, that stuff became harder to find on paper because the EXPs themselves were becoming far less common. They were becoming just crazy rare, dang near impossible to order. So I'll show you some of this information here, but none of it's really relevant because none of this really came on the 84s. You won't get a plain 1.6 on the 84. It just never happened. You can see that I'm going to assume that this is true for 83 models. The plain 1.6 will only be paired with a 4-speed, while all the other engines, the high outputs and the EFIs, ignore the turbo. Again, that's only 84. Those engines would only have an automatic or a 5-speed. And then when the turbo came out in 84, it was only the 5-speed. So here's that. Here's where we reach the official options data for the 1984 EXP. It clearly lists some. You only have the two choices in 84. You get the turbo or you get the 1.6 high output. And you'll see in the next couple pages it talks about 1.6 EFI. It means the turbo model, even though it doesn't explicitly say it. And we've had that issue with some literature. For 84 and 85, it'll say 1.6 EFI, and it'll exclude the turbo moniker. But it is clearly talking about the turbo if you are reading between the lines. So it finally lists a 1984 model as we know it with TRX wheels. And you can see it's dated of August 83. So that solidifies some of the changes, because the last 83 to be made was in June or August of 83, depending on what car you're looking at, an EXP or an LN7, and depending on what factory you're looking at. It's like the St. Thomas plant. They were done by August of 83. San Jose plant, I believe they were done June of 83, unless I have those two flipped around. So that's kind of how that works. And like my 83 book here shows April of 82. We'll just visit this real quick so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. get some further proof going here. EXP options. Plain 2-cylinder, base model car. Sorry, not 2-cylinder, 2-valve, 1.6 base, 1.6 high output, 1.6 EFI. That's odd. That shouldn't be there. EFI 4-speed. It's not quite right. I don't think it's pairing this with engines. It's just showing the availability to each car. It should list an automatic, but what's interesting is it's not. Try to keep going until we can. Yep, base car 1.6 4-speed. Oh, it doesn't show any of the trim levels. So that was 83 as of April. And then whenever this came out, must have been shortly afterwards, they're advertising a turbo. But then shortly after that, they're dropping the EFI. And when we look at this is our dealer salesman book. So this would be something every salesman's armed with in their pockets. Go back to the EXP tab. Yeah, 6-position cell, not too interested in that. Here we go. So for 84, as of 9/12/83, so this is September 83. Following this immediately. Yep, no more EFI. It's just you get the 1.6 high output or you get the turbo. That's it. That's how it goes. So, anywho, carrying on. Plain data information. Nothing remarkable there. 84 color selector. It's the same exact thing as what they showed over here. Because those are the confirmed colors that you get for that year. For some reason, this back side is blank. I don't know if it's supposed to be that way. Maybe it's supposed to have like a divider here. Maybe there was supposed to be a photo on this back side that was never printed on this back of the page. I do not know. Interestingly, this here shows a different revision. Revision date of 9. Oh, I'm sorry. I said this was August. This is October. 10th is October. I don't know what I'm thinking. 8th is August. Good grief. So this should be much further back in the book. It's possible that these couple pages follow this. So I probably have these out of order. This is probably a supplement page. I bet that's why this is blank on the back side. This is supposed to be at the back of my stack. I'll have to tweak that around. Anywho, talks about everything here. And that would explain why it says EFI and then the turbo. Because as of September 80th, well, even in September 83, that shouldn't have been around. Because this is, so it says September 83, September 12th, and this is 3 days later. And I think it was due for another revision. But it talks about all the tech of the cars. It's a lot to read through, and it's pretty dry being there's no photos. Especially since it's all like carried over from the prior year, aside from the front suspension change. Again, just not very much. It's all pretty dry. But here we go. We, for some reason, now it's fine with its revision, and it completely omits the EFI like it was supposed to in the first place, which is very odd. Again, more dry stuff and mostly little options. And the problem is 84 and 85 essentially the same. They didn't have squat for options. And most of them out there, they're either turbos or base cars. And there weren't very many EXPs made at all in 84 and 85. So your odds of having anything notable are pretty slim. Again, if you have the turbo, well, you at least got something. But the options list here, you know, it's kind of luxury coupe, turbo coupe, or bust. But there's a lot of these base cars rolling around. I got two base 84 and 85s, and then I got one 84 turbo. Here we go. Here's the earlier revision 10/1/83. I guess that's what this one was too. So I just have these out of order. Yep. I have to switch these around. What's weird though is this is one page, and you can see it goes from 9/15 to 10/1 on the same page. So I think I do have these back ones right. It's just that first one is supposed to be at the end. Here we go. Yeah, it talks about the colors, engine, transmission, more specs. And I bet my revision page is supposed to follow this guy shortly after. Yeah, and now here I'm at a loss again. This one's got a revision of October on the same page, but the back of the same page has got a revision of September. So I'm thoroughly confused here. Here's where it talks about those engines like I talked about. One of which being that EFI option. Yeah, well, that would make some sense because it wasn't too caught up, but it was long and gone by August. Hopefully, by August they were done making 83s. But they might not have started making 84s until September. I do not know. I need to do a little bit more digging on that. It's really hard. I need more Marty reports. That's the only way I can find this kind of stuff out. We talk about the transmission some. ATX. Manual transmission. All EXPs have a 5-speed. If you don't have that, you get a automatic, at least as far as 84 on up goes. Brake cylinder, it's nothing groundbreaking. It's all just the same stuff from prior years. Same with all that. Seating and restraints, again, it's all just the same from prior years. And I think that's something that they missed out in the marketing. I mean, the initial Frog Eye cars didn't sell as awesome as they were hoping. So what they should have done was just they should have doubled down on a lot of the engineering feats that they made and a lot of the cost effectiveness of these cars, instead of just trying to forget about them. I think that was probably the wrong move. Because come 84 and 85, these guys are just bland. They're bland. Nothing new was brought to the table aside from the dashboard and the bubble back and the lights. They were already on the LN7. So it needed a little bit of a mix-up. Hence the turbo. Those sold well. But they should have just put more color, it needed more shock and awe, and it would have gone a long way just in literature. I mean, look at all this black and white crap. It's it's pretty disturbing compared to some of the 82 stuff, but that's how it goes. Anywho, yep, I have to get these in the correct order now. But do keep an eye out. I'm hoping to someday soon have the 82 and 83 versions of this for the EXP and LN7. Having those in hand is going to be pretty interesting. And like I said, those for sure, they give a thorough walkthrough and breakdown of every single option and every single variation of every single option. So it goes over every single decal set that you can have on these, every single wheel, Every single paint scheme, every single interior type, style, and color. It's just phenomenal. It's awesome stuff. So I can't wait to get one of those, because that is a lot to dig through and it's really fun. So do again, keep a lookout for that, and hopefully it comes soon.